Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, loaded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is loaded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Paul also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott. Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Night Drive-In. We have a guest this evening. Jed and I are not on our own. We've replaced Lady Balefire. We don't even know. We love Lady B. We hope to have her back when her schedule lightens up once again. But we are joined today by Left Eye Ego, a friend of the channel. He's recommended to us by our boy Grump. So therefore, he comes highly recommended. So we're happy to have you, Ego. Welcome to the show. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Adam said it best. I'm Left Eye Ego. Just joining you guys for the Saturday Night Drive-In, and I'm glad you guys invited me. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
I know. Thank you for coming in. I put out the call and you answered, and I'm like, okay, let's give it a ride. And we're here to have some fun. As always, I am joined by, unfortunately, my better half at this point, Jed. No matter where I go, he's there.
Following you.
Follow me. Jed, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's great after a week of traveling and the utter insanity that was tabletop this week to just relax with you guys and talk about a good movie. I need this after all the traveling and the insanity. So it's always great to be here, and I'm excited to dive in.
You know, I didn't get your answer. Did you get hit by any of the weather while you were in Texas?
It rained. That was about it. It rained the whole time, but it wasn't anything special. Everyone freaked out because they'd never driven in rain before, apparently. But it was really pathetic rain. Like, I used my windshield wipers like every 3 minutes. It was just like I had to manually do it because of how infrequent it was. We were fine, but everyone was like, "Oh my god, no. The asphalt's wet. What does this mean?"
I know it's living in places where you get a flake of snow, and schools are closed. Everything's shut down. Yes. The shelves get empty. There's a run on toilet paper. The shelves are empty. Well, and you can't get anything.
Where I grew up, average wind speed was about 30 miles an hour. So during winter, when there were 50-mile-an-hour winds, semis were literally tipping over on the freeway. School buses still came and picked everybody up.
Yeah.
They don't stop for nothing.
Exactly. All right. So here's our crew for tonight. As we have hinted already throughout the week. We're doing Groundhog Day, baby. It was Groundhog Day this week. It was an easy choice, Left Eye. It was an easy choice.
Easy. Yeah, February 2nd.
I didn't give it a second thought. It's like, bam. It's so good, and I love this movie. I love this movie. Before we get started, let's say good evening to the chat. I see both Tranquil Waters and Legatus, my mods, my irregulars, here to keep the peace and to also probably make fun of us because that's what they do. I see also Zax. Hail, Zax. Flaccid Phoenix, good evening to you. I see Kale. Good evening to you, Kale. And anybody else is chilling out and watching, we're happy to have you here on what is always a busy Saturday evening. We hope you enjoy the rest of the show now and on the replay. All right, so Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. I'm as it is new to as it is known to most people, I'm older than dirt. So I was there when it was in the theaters. Caught you there, didn't I? Got you. I was in the theaters when this came out, and I remember seeing it as a younger lad, and I liked it then. I loved it all throughout the years, and last year, what was it last year? I think it was last year. Last year, I finally got a good deal, picked it up, and it's one of those movies I don't regret. I don't regret this. One of the movies, it's part of my Bill Murray collection. I still got a couple more Bill Murray movies I need to get to round it out, but this is a great movie. Of course, I have my small criticisms we'll get into throughout the show, but it always leaves me smiling at the end. And not just because of the comedy, because it's well written. And you know why it's well written? Because one, Harold Ramis wrote screenplay, directed it. That's what I mean. We're not. I don't know. We may or may not. Yes, we all know we probably all know the backstory that this was the movie that Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had a falling out over. But we're not gonna dwell on that because it's still a brilliant movie, and I love it. Jed, you're not old as dirt.
No, I'm not.
In fact, you're fresh soil, basically.
Until
when did you first see this?
I probably saw it about a decade ago. This is actually only the second time I've seen it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
And it's so good. I was really young when I first watched it, so I didn't appreciate it as much.
Jokes.
Exactly. So I remember thinking it was good and just a nothing burger, but now I've rewatched it. It's like, there's some genius behind this film.
Oh,
the characterization is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, the characterization is so strong, which is difficult with only one day. Like, you can't character progress anyone besides the main character. So that creates an interesting writing dilemma, and I really like how they approached it with all these characters. They all feel real, and that's something that's very odd in modern day Hollywood. But my biggest criticism of this movie is the fact that everyone wanted to copy it for the next 20 years. We've gotten so many time loop stories after that. It's ridiculous. There's only one good one besides this one, in my opinion, and that's the Supernatural episode that was a time loop. That one was
Stargate SG-1. Stargate.
I never saw that.
Day. Oh, the Stargate SG-1 season 4 Groundhog Day is incredible. It is an incredible. Well, it's not even a full day. It's only 12 hours, but it's incredible. That is Mustang. You could back me up on that one. Mustang can back me up on that one. Left Eye. When did you first see Groundhog Day?
I'm not gonna lie. It must have been like one of those when it was on like UPN or one of those midday afternoon throw a movie on to watch, and I maybe saw it in parts. So I've never seen it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I recently went back and watched it, and so it made a lot more sense now that I'm older. So I'm like, okay, now I understand why everyone's copied it for, I'm guessing, 30 years? Like, I think yesterday was the 30th anniversary of the release for Groundhog Day. So I think so.
You got to put that in the video description or in the title.
See, this is just the 15th anniversary edition that I have. I just have this one. That's what I have.
7/20.
I'll look it up.
Is it February 3rd or 4th? Yeah.
Jed, you look it up. Jed.
Yeah. But for being the 30th anniversary, I mean, I see why everyone's copied it, but why instead of going very, very dark, I mean, he goes through the depressive state. I mean, it's in the movie,
that end of the second act is so brilliant, though.
Right.
It's
like he at least goes through the phase. I know that if they tried to redo Groundhog Day now, it would be dark and depressing, but it's like, well, it can be that, but he actually chooses to look on the bright side of things. So, that's why it's a good movie.
But he earns it, and we'll get into that when we talk about it. He Frank earns it. I mean, it's great.
Edge of Tomorrow is really good too, repeat wise. But the 30th anniversary is a week from tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
All right, 30 years.
So-
God damn it, I am old as dirt. Damn it, Dermy's right. Or why don't it's come up? Let's talk about it now. One of the great things about this movie is and why it's categorized. I mean, this isn't just a cult classic. This is a comedic classic. For all our reasons. And one of the ways we can designate that is because look at its cultural impact. Jed, you opened with it. It spawned the repeat day genre.
There's so many crap ones. Like there's one with what's his bucket? Jake Peralta. What is his real name? I can't. It's Andy Samberg or something like that on Hulu. That one is so bad. There's just way more bad versions of this than there are good ones, unfortunately. But it's a really cool concept. It's a really cool concept that it needs a good twist if you're going to justify remaking it. And I think that's why Edge of Tomorrow and Supernatural stand out as the positive remakes of it, because they add something very unique to the story. It's not just, ooh, what's the time loop?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And also, and the thing is, and the SG-1 episode is so brilliant because it ends up being, well, at this point, you're 4 seasons in Stargate SG-1, and you can use the character stories that have already happened to influence it. I mean, the focal point is in that one, a scientist initiates an effect on a local network within the Stargate network to try and reverse time so that he can find time to cure his dead wife's disease and then travel back to cure it. And when he can't, he just wants to spend time with her. And when that happens, when it fails, at the very end of it, you can use Jack O'Neill's influence on the fact that he's like, do you know what it's like to the family member? And then there's this one powerful line. He says, I lost my son, because his son accidentally killed himself with his own gun. They kept that as part of the lore from the original movie. So, so you have powerful stuff. But what Stargate SG-1 did with its Groundhog Day episode is, after a point, they went full comedy with it. They went full. I mean, at one point you have Jack and Teal'c playing golf in front of an open Stargate. You've got them eating or doing whatever they want, and it's great. They really just played into the whole concept of, if there are no consequences, what can we do with our day? And that's why every time there is a rating of Stargate episodes, Groundhog Day episode #1.
Yeah,
for years it was #1.
This concept is one of the few like sci-fi concepts that you can really justify anything tonally with it, because of course people are going to react to it differently and progressively change their reactions to it. So a full-on comedy, nothing matters. Of course, that's how we'd all react initially.
Comedy of errors.
Yeah. Everyone's, got selfish endeavors. They're going to resort to selfish things at first and just have fun with it. And then, of course, there's going to be a dark, depressing aspect of it. Like, it's a concept that tonally, it's very difficult to balance multiple tones in movies. It's a few different examples of that in the modern day. Like, Velma can't decide what it is tonally. It cannot make up its mind whether or not it's a comedy, a horror film, or what it is. And Last of Us also was this 3rd episode, can't decide if it's a Hallmark.
He knows what it is. It's gay.
It's gay, yeah. Can't decide if it's zombie horror or a Hallmark show. But the concept of Groundhog Day facilitates those changing tones in such a way that it all works. It all works. And that's really a credit to the writing and whoever came up with the idea initially, because it's just very beautifully written. I thought it was just a dumb fun movie when I was a kid, but there is some legitimate talent behind the script.
Harold Ramis, he was massively talented, and at one point I just called Phil Frank. I think this is from a different Bill Murray movie, so I don't know why I did that. So I meant Phil. But you're absolutely right, Jed. It's written brilliantly, and it clearly follows the classic 3-act process. The opening act, where it sets the stage, and we learn about there's 2 main characters. There's Phil and there's Rita. And because it all ironically or unironically, I guess, everything does center around Rita when you think about it, because she is the proof that he has changed at the end, that Phil has become a better man. Because in the 2nd act, during the Groundhog Days, at one point the tail end of second act is him starting to lose it when he's doing whatever he can to try and get her attention, because at this point, I mean, he is in love with her. Now, here's the thing. Remember, now I have never actually tried to look this up, and I know I should have, but before the show I took a nap. So that's my problem. He could have been in this Groundhog Day for years. Years. Considering some of the things he learned, the ice sculpting, the piano playing, other things. He could have been in this for years. And how many times do you think he tried to get the one and only thing in the end he realized he wanted, and that was Rita? But that one final montage of her slapping him to the flute music, and it's just like,
great.
And which soon leads to the dark half of the second act, where he goes, where he Minecrafts himself over and over again. But it's a great structure. You got and you have the second act, the Groundhog Days, and him coming to terms with he's not a good man, and the rock bottom of it, and then the whole end of it where he has that one really good day with her where he's just completely honest about everything, and she connects with him.
Well, I think what you're talking about is actually more indicative of the supernatural element behind the things, of the cause of the Groundhog Day itself, the time loop, because just like you said, she's the one person who can always see through his crap. She can see through the veneer, whatever veneer he's putting out there in that montage of slaps. She always figures out that it's fake, that he's lying, that it's not who he really is. But the moment he's honest with her and she likes what she sees beneath it all is the moment that he comes out of it. So it is about Rita seeing him. She is like the literal gauge of his humanity. So I think that it was very much we obviously don't know what caused the time loop, or if it was God or some just supernatural element. I think she's tied to it. I think she's very, very tied to it.
I have a theory, and I want both of your opinions on this.
Go on.
Okay, he only appears in 3 to 4 moments of the entire movie.
Okay.
The bartender at the Pennsylvania hotel.
Got some weird angles from him.
Okay.
Is he God? Because to me, all my life watching it, it seems he knows what's going on every time. What do you think, Left Eye? What do you think, Left Eye? Am I tracking too hard here?
I either that, or it's like I thought Rita was kind of a supernatural being that was causing the loop in itself. I thought she really was in love with him, and it's like if only you were. Yeah, it was like until you escape the loop and fall in love with me, you're stuck in the loop. I thought that, but the bartender probably could be God, or I would have said it could have been the guys at the bowling alley could have been angels. Those are my two theories on it. Because like the most he gets really introspective at the bowling alley when he starts drinking with these two random guys. And it's like he's like they actually tell him, hey, what would you do? You'd live without consequences. You would do this, you would do that. And like that starts it for me is when he actually says, well, I can do anything. And then he starts turning his attention to other pursuits, including trying to get Rita. So, I mean, either those are the two theories, but bartender does seem credible too. Because somebody's got to know.
Maybe not God, but he knows what's going on. Jed, where are you with this on this thing?
Yeah, no, I noticed that during this watch is he was definitely having some strange reactions, and he was getting a few odd angles. Like we saw him in some strange moments. We don't need to cut away to his reaction to certain things. It's completely unnecessary, but it seems like they're trying to tell us something. So like I did notice that in this watch, there's something weird about him. Whether or not he is the culprit behind this, I do believe
or just an observer. At the very least, I feel like I feel like he's an observer, because every time you cut to him 4 times. I think I counted it right yesterday when I watched it. Every time we cut to him, Frank is told one of his bullshit lines, especially when he's hitting on Rita with the sweet vermouth with a twist line thing, and he's just going like this.
Oh,
he's just shaking his head. He's just shaking his head.
Oh, yeah. And then when he nods after
I feel like he is in on the loop, that he is the only other person who knows what's going on every time. I felt like that, and I thought maybe he's God, just sitting there having a good time watching this. I don't know. At the very least, I feel like he's just a passive observer in all this, and he knows what's going on. I've always felt that way. Throughout whenever I watch this.
He would have no reason to shake his head because he's never met her before. And she's the new producer. So
Yeah.
why would he shake his head and then nod his head when he gets it right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to also say that Groundhog Day started the trend of black guys being God in these movies.
Make the best gods.
He knows what's going on. And he's like,
he might.
You're right. He might not be God, but he knows what's. I always felt he knows what's going on, and he's there to observe. I mean, the last time
Lord.
Careful! You're going into Jed's territory now.
Yeah, no, you got me twitching.
I'm like, it's either that or like I was looking at it because I'm thinking, didn't he kind of do the same thing with Scrooged? Like that was he was in Scrooged, right?
Was he?
I thought he was.
I haven't watched Scrooge in a while. I haven't watched Scrooge in a while.
Say the late 80s or early 90s version. I'm like, this could probably be like another dream that he's in too, if we're switching movies, because it's kind of like the same thing where it's in that loop. I don't know if he's the ghost of the present meets future's past or what, but it's like it's like I swear he was in Scrooged.
I'll have to rewatch. We might rewatch that for Christmas next year. We might have to for Christmas this year. Yeah, we might have to do it. But so I feel like because like you said at the very end there in the final scene, in the final loop, the final day where Phil gets it all right. The bartender gets one last shot when what's his name? Chris Elliott's character Larry is hitting on Nancy, and he just shakes his head. And it's like, yeah, you're not getting that either. You're not getting that. You suck. So but that's also, but he's there. We see him in the last day, still observing. I just feel it, and I've run with it my whole life, and I have yet to be convinced he's not at the very least a passive observer that is aware of the loop.
Yeah,
I just feel that. So, all right. So, Phil, God damn, what's wrong with me? Hamster's not on the wheel right now. That's a problem. Hamster's not on the wheel. Frank, that's it. Thank you, Legatus. That's why I keep calling him Frank.
Frank Cross.
That's why I keep calling him Frank. There you go.
Okay.
My wires are crossed. My wires are crossed. Phil, he's an asshole. Let's talk about Bill Murray's Phil. Let's talk about Phil, and we'll go from there because really Bill Murray is essentially in every scene of the movie. It's very rare that he's not in a scene of the movie. First of all, the casting of Bill Murray, it requires him to make this work.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is one of those times, I think, early on. I mean, this is early 90s. We're coming out of the 80s where Bill Murray was Mr. Comedy Man, huge, big everything, Ghostbusters, Stripes, you name it, he was in it. Caddyshack, he was all over the place. He was huge. Comedian. That's what he's known for. But at the end of the second act, when he gets serious, little light comedy still, but when it's serious, that little hint that we saw that Bill Murray can do drama too. He can do serious stuff too. And this role works because you have somebody who has range and comedic gravitas. I mean, Left Eye, like you said, it takes talent to do this stuff.
A lot, yeah.
I mean, and when you go back and you watch it, you see this stuff. And Jed, like you said, you got to be old enough to get these jokes, to get those constant sexual innuendos in the first act that he's putting out there. So, I mean, all right. So,
well,
go ahead.
Well, something that you said, a lot of the greatest drama performances that I've ever seen have come from comedians. Like Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting last week or the week before. They know how to do drama because they understand the human condition. I think that's the most important thing about comedy is understanding the human condition, which makes them ripe for the really dark, gritty roles. And Bill Murray, you wouldn't think of it to look at him, but all his best roles, or at least all my favorite roles of him, he's at least initially the asshole playboy. Like, you don't look at this man and think he's an asshole playboy. I can see it. But it feels like he could just, pull off the feel of someone like a Oliver Queen or Bruce Wayne. He wouldn't get the look at all, but it's just like, how do you pull off the fake douchebag so well? I love it. But yeah, no, he's perfect for this role. I can't imagine another actor doing it quite as well as him, except for maybe Robin Williams.
One of the things about this movie, it's for me, it's not laugh so hard I'm crying. because to me, there's not a thing where I'm laughing so I'm crying, but I'm chuckling the entire time. I'm smiling the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when he gets into it, after he gets locked into the repeat and he realizes what's going on, like Left Eye said, after he has the meeting with the guy, after he has the time with the guys at the bowling alley, and they're driving down the train tracks, and he goes to jail, wakes up, oh, they're not going to be here. Okay, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah,
we get the montage of the Groundhog Days.
Yeah,
Left Eye, I'm gonna go to you first. What is your favorite Groundhog repeat day? What's your favorite one? Do you have one?
I mean, to me, it's I laugh because I've done these things on different dates when I was single. So when he starts speaking French out of nowhere, I was like, I've done some shit like that. I'm sorry, some stuff like that. I don't know how y'all are cursing.
Oh shit, no, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay, cool.
But shit is fine. We get to the hour before we start dropping F-bombs.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, it's like you realize you're like, man, when I was single or when I was on the prowl, like I would do shit like that. It's a reflection back to you. And you're like, I really sounded that douchey. Wow. But it was funny. And the thing is that they did the editing so well. When I'm watching it, I thought I actually hit the skip ahead button or the rewind button. Because they would loop it so quickly about him messing up the drink and then going back again and saying, oh, I'll have that removed with line with a twist. And I was like, wait, did I just... Oh, wow. I actually groundhogged myself. Okay, this is great editing. Okay, all right. So I think when he was speaking French was the most hilarious part to me.
Jed, do you have a favorite Groundhog moment? Repeat moment?
Yeah. Mine also comes from the date sequences. I love when he's trying to be Clint Eastwood. I don't know. He's got the deep voice and like, that's my fiance. She doesn't remember who I am, though. And that girl was just like, oh, okay. One adult, please, and one an adult too. All right.
I guess.
All right. I guess. Remember, call me. God, what does he call himself? Shit. Call me not Roscoe. Something else. He's like,
is that Ombre?
No, it's call me Roscoe or something like that. I know it's not Roscoe. I just want to. It's some good. All right, my favorite one.
Terrible voice is the best part of that. His terrible Clint Eastwood impression. Oh yeah.
Bronco. Call me Bronco.
Bronco, that's it.
Okay, there it is. Bronco.
Bronco. All right, my favorite one is early on when we cut to the diner and he's surrounded by all the food. And he's just, and Rita's I love seeing a man of advanced years throwing caution to the wind. And he's just doing it. And and again, the editing. Left, I brought up a great point. You could tell that it was a one-take scene on this one, or at least the one they used was a perfect take, because it's after he shoves the entire slice of cake in his mouth. And she goes, and he goes, what? And for the rest of the scene, the icing is still exactly where it's supposed to be on his cheek. And I respect them pulling that off, because one of the things I hate the most in when you're watching something that may have been a pieced together scene is when, and this is my OCD kicking in.
Yes.
A drink level is at a different thing, or a sandwich has a different bite in it, or something that was being used is slightly different. That's why you could tell they nailed this scene and they kept it, because the icing smear on his face was in the exact same spot when he's going to Larry. Come on, Larry. I know you want one of these Danishes. I know you're looking at it.
No continuity errors. That was great.
Yes, thank you. Perfect word. No continuity errors.
It's so strange. Yeah. Even like the best movies are rampant with continuity errors. But even more so in the modern day. They can't even get Starbucks out of TV shows half the time.
I know. I mean, one of my continuity errors that bugs me the most. Patrick Swayze's next of kin. Throughout the entire movie, he has a certain level of haircut, but in the very final scene, which literally only should take place the next day, he's got a completely different haircut. It's like, oh, really? Or I forget which Michael J. Fox movie it was. He has a different haircut in one. It's Secret of My Success. He's got a different haircut in one scene, jumping back and forth. It's like, okay, your hair is wrong hair. So continuity. Now, hair is a rough thing to do. I understand that.
Yeah.
But continuity, Left Eye, you hit it on. But this movie nails the continuity. And that scene right there is, for continuity and for scene take sake, is perfect. But I just love that scene where it's just got the food and he's just eating it, and he's just and Rita just quotes that line, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm slob. Gluttony. I don't care. I'm drinking straight from the coffee jug. I'm gonna smoke the cigarette here.
As a coffee addict, I did appreciate that moment. I did appreciate that.
It's just I that's my favorite repeat scene. Just because one, I like seeing when food looks good. I like good presentation when all the food looks good. Makes me hungry when I look at the scene. And again, I love that where he just takes that wedge of cake
and he's struggling to do it. Yeah, he can't quite manage it.
Maintain eye contact to establish dominance.
And he's just and it just goes, whoa. And you know they had you gotta wonder they probably only did it in that scene because he eats the whole thing. He eats it and swallows it and bravo to Bill Murray for not choking. I would have choked on that thing.
Yeah,
I'm a choke hazard because I eat quickly.
Really? I muscle it down.
I eat like an anime person, and if I'm careless and I take a drink while I'm still in the throat, it will like the water in the throat will get caught, and it's like, then you got to go do drastic measures. One time I was in an airport on a very stupid Thanksgiving vacation break. We were going someplace where I didn't want to go, and we were going to see family, and I didn't want to do it, but my mom made me, and I met her, and I picked her up. We're in the airport, and I was sitting there, hunched over, eating a Wendy's hamburger before we got on the flight. But I was like this. Horrible posture. I'm exhausted, pissed off. All I wanted to do was stay home and play WWE 2K14. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. That was it. That's all I wanted to do. Or was it 13? Was it 13 or 14? Whatever. Anyway, and I'm eating it, and too much food. I take a drink, and I start to choke. I literally start to choke, and I get up. My mom freaks out. Now some dude comes up behind me and gives me a massive Heimlich maneuver, but he didn't really know what he was doing. He cracked 2 of my ribs in the process. So it's like that was one of those moments where, okay, Adam, it's time to slow down. I still like an anime character. I still do, but I'm careful. Very careful. But speaking of choking, there's the choking moment where Brian Bill Murray gets choking on that thing, and that's during the final day where we see that. But that's kind of where that triggered too. Go ahead.
One of my favorite comedic moments isn't from the Groundhog Day section, but actually does include one of the movie's few continuity errors. But I'm too busy laughing to care all that much. I love when he
says a lot. If you say that says a lot. I know.
It really does for me. But I love when he initially kidnaps the groundhog. He's driving around. They're chasing him. He's going all over the place. It's utter chaos of an action sequence. And then it cuts into the truck, and he's letting the groundhog drive. It's like, ooh, that's pretty good. There's no cop cars behind him. You would be able to see all the cars behind him. You don't see anything behind him.
In that one, there's another continuity error that bugs me. Now, at one point, when it's not Bill Murray, when it is Bill Murray, not the stunt driver that's doing the driving.
Oh, that stunt driver's pretty obvious.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's always starting, especially when you're watching it in 1080p for HD. You can really see him. No, what I see, it has always bugged me is, at that point in that scene where he's talking to Groundhog Phil and he's in the seat. But then they cuts back, and it's still him holding the stuffed version on the wheel. I catch that every time.
That was pretty good. But I just love how he's grinning watching the groundhog drive. Just his excitement at watching this thing drive, it gets me every time.
Don't drive angry.
Moment I laugh the most.
Don't drive angry. I love it. There are so many one-liners, but so this movie is filled with all these great moments, and the groundhog montage is, that's the high point of just Bill Murray being funny. Now, here's my question to you guys. This one, we see him do this stuff, and obviously because we theorize he's probably been in there for years. But it would seem, and I'm willing to wager this, I don't think he ever does anything truly evil and unforgivable. It looks like he does things manipulative. Clearly, when he manipulates Nancy into sleeping with him, and he tries to manipulate Rita, and he steals money, and he does all kinds of stuff because there are no consequences. Maybe definitely broke some laws here and there. But I get the feeling, and I want to see if you guys agree with me, he never, given this massive amount of power of no consequences, as asshole as Phil is, we never see him do anything massively evil, do we?
No, and he never leaves either. Like he could have stolen the money and booked a trip to like a flight to Miami or driven to the next town over.
Tried.
He doesn't leave.
Well, I think he never left. I think he could. I think the snow, no matter where, there was no way out.
Yeah,
he could have tried in the middle of the day, but he never does. I mean, that might be a loophole in the story. When the Groundhog Day is happening, his left eye might have just stolen something there.
Well, he specifically says the blizzard doesn't come to the town; it blocks their route back to Pittsburgh. It never makes it there during the day. So try going west.
Right?
Yeah,
could have gone the opposite direction.
So you might have just stumbled on something. He never tries to leave during the day when he f's off on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And I think they do try to justify it as being one of those small towns where there's only one way in or out, but that works for the first day, the first couple days. But after a few years, you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna try to walk if there's no other road.
He clearly rented a car on the Clint Eastwood night. That was a rented car that he drives up in with his French maid girlfriend or girlfriend for the night. So
she was my favorite.
I actually like Nancy. Nancy was my favorite.
Oh, Nancy was pretty great. I just don't like Rita.
I
like her as a character and her chemistry. I just would never date her.
Oh,
just like Yennefer.
Why? Why not? Hold on. Why not?
Because it's kind of petty and it's just one moment. I don't like how she's. It's really petty, but I've dated girls like this and it usually leads to a bigger problem. But he's trying to be fun. He's like, "Why don't we toast to the groundhog?" He's just being tongue in cheek and it's funny. And he's like, "I only ever drink to world peace," and it's really like condescending. And I'm just like, "You bitch." He's making a joke. You don't need to be condescending right now. Sure, world peace is great and all, but he just made a joke. Just laugh if you don't agree, or say something else. Don't be condescending. It's like, oh, well, that's pretty good. I usually drink to world peace, but the groundhog, that's pretty good. No, she's like, I only do world peace. It's like,
I will say that's a lot to have to go through to get one woman. It's like he had to know how to ice sculpt. He had to know how to play the piano. He had to save a person's life. He had to know everyone in town and do all these great deeds. Other people had to talk about him. He had to have like this moment where everyone just stops and watches him give his account from Groundhog Day. That is a lot of work. And that was just one day. It took him years to get one day, one woman. And I'm like, well, damn, what do you got to do? Like, how do you follow up with that? Because she's going to want more.
Well, here's the thing. And I guess we'll jump to that then. The final day, the culmination of Phil. Now, like we said earlier, there's that moment of the real day where he says, "I think I'm a god because I can't die," maybe God isn't. Maybe he isn't immortal. He's just been around.
He's not
so
omnipotent.
He just knows everybody, knows everything. Been around a long ass time. And after that day where she says to him, "Maybe you're here for a purpose or a reason, basically. Maybe you have to figure something out," and then you watch him try to better himself bit by bit. And I find this to Jed's point, because Jed is always going on about character development, earning it. These characters have to have a reason for doing stuff. And we've had the perfect evolution from jerk to carefree jerk to self-loathing jerk to then realist, and then just bitter, depressed realist. And realizing that during the nice day scene of, I don't deserve you, I don't deserve this. I'm not. When she's half asleep on the bed right before it's 4 a.m. in the morning, 2 hours away from the football, he says, "I don't deserve you. You deserve somebody better than me." And then he begins the process of bettering himself for how many years we don't really know, or at least again, I've never researched it. Maybe some internet autist has figured it out, but it's not me. But I really appreciate the third act in terms of its character development for Phil. Watching what he does. I mean, and here's the thing. Left Eye, you bring it up. He does all this stuff. He wants Rita so badly, but I'm going to pose to you that he gets her when he gives up on her. Because from what I look at it, by becoming more learned, by reading the books, by becoming by developing all these skills and just taking advantage of the fact that he has all this time and he doesn't know when it's going to end and he's not getting older. It's just the same day. And especially when it's something like a book or a practice learned thing where you can pick it up where you leave off. Or if you're studying something, your memory is still there. It's and I'll bring this one of my final topics later as a joke topic, but he realized he can do things that do not require them to carry over because he still has his memories. And you realize the ice sculpting, the piano, everything. He does that having given up on her.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it starts with the old man, the old homeless dude, where he realizes I can try and help somebody, but I'm still not all powerful because maybe it's just his time to go. When the old man dies, repeat, no matter what he does, he realizes, okay, while I'm learning stuff, I guess I can still do good things. And he calls him his errands by the final scene. I mean, my favorite one is when he goes to catch the fallen kid, like you said, save somebody's life. Thank you. Say it. Say thank you. You've never thanked me, you little bastard. You've never thanked me. Mm-hmm. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe. I really like it. To me, it's like he becomes the better man when he starts just trying to be better, not to earn her love. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I guess it makes sense. I guess I was looking at while y'all were talking, I was looking at how long they said he would have been in the loop. They're saying he was either in the loop between 10 and 33 years. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it makes sense because, like, I know you need 7 years to master something, and he mastered piano,
10,000 hours,
10,000 hours of 7 years. So I'm like, well, I mean, I guess he would have been in the loop that long, and so he technically had 2 lifetimes to live in one day. So you're like, well, over that course, you would change, just figuring out for the better or for the worse. And so you're right. I think that kind of was the concept is if you let something go and you better yourself, what you're actually looking for comes to you. So yeah, in that regard, it actually does make sense, So to the point where he gets that second day and he's like, he doesn't know what to do with himself and he doesn't want to leave the town. And at that point, why
it's his home.
Know everybody? Yeah, it is his home.
If he's been there for possibly 10 to 33 years, that is his home, and he knows everybody. And even though it's to them, he's only been there for those couple of days because he was there the day before and then the day of Groundhog Day. His presence, maybe by osmosis. I mean, because this definitely is some supernatural. Like Jed said earlier, there's a supernatural element to this movie. Maybe by osmosis, he is become central to this town, to Punxsutawney. And even though, because there is a moment where Rita does go, I feel like we've done this before.
Yes.
So maybe there is some osmosis where he is there. He becomes part of, for lack of a better term, the DNA. He's worked into the DNA of that town, and he realizes that that's where it belongs. And I feel so. I mean, Jed, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm totally agree. I have a few issues with him learning a few of those skills, specifically piano. Piano, as someone who plays piano, is very muscle memory oriented, and I don't know how you would develop muscle memory. Does your body reset after the day? That would be like the main skill that I would have an issue with, is muscle memory related ones. But to the point of him getting better, and that's how he gets Rita in the end, and that's how he resolves it. I totally agree, because the stuff he was doing in the later act, his final day and the days around it, serves no overarching purpose. He got nothing out of it. But every day he went and saved that kid. Every day he went and saved the mayor or the groundhog guy. Buster. And he could have just been lazy. And you know what? This day I won't save him. I'll come back I'll come back tomorrow. It's not a big deal. But he really had let go of all his selfish motivations. He's like, This is what I'm here for. I make this day as good as I can for as many people as I can. And that was, just like you said, birthed from the homeless man. And I love the broader implications of the homeless man arc, because it begs the question of destiny and fate. in a world where he feels like a god. He needs that grounding in that moment to remind him he's not God. And fate and destiny are very hard things to grapple with narratively, because you can kind of make your story feel pointless or worthless if you make destiny too strong. If it's all predetermined, why am I watching this? Why does anything matter? But they balance it in such a delicate way without telling anything, but asking the question. That's my favorite things thematically, is when a movie can ask the question in a full enough way that everything makes sense, but not answer it to any extent that makes a definitive statement or tells the audience what to think on a theme. Those are the best ways to do theme. And I think that is a big part of this is, yes, maybe there is destiny, maybe there is fate, but when we throw away our selfish endeavors, we can try to make our fate seem a little bit better. And that's when he got Rita, because every time that she reacted to him positively in that final day was when somebody else was like, oh my God, you did this for me. Thank you. Or like, hey, I got to leave you for a minute, Rita. I got to go help them. It was really, he gained nothing from it. And by doing so, he gained everything. And he had no idea.
Yeah, that's great. You're right. I'm right really with you, because she falls for him when he's not trying anymore. When he's just, he's in his routine, but he's, like you said, he's chosen that routine. How tedious is it to change that tire every day for those old ladies?
He's still doing it with a pep in his step, though.
Yeah. I mean, how all of it, it builds to that point where I love it. And I was thinking about this last night when I was watching it, and it's like, he reached that point when it's okay. She's caring because he's not even trying to get her. He's not even trying to woo her. And she's drawn to the honesty, the authenticity of what he's doing at this point. He's not simply getting the fudge. He's not keeping her favorite ice cream on the windowsill. He's not. He doesn't have the snowman eyes and the pipe in his pocket, ready to go to make that moment a fun little moment. He's not toasting the world peace. He's not speaking French to try and impress her. He's just doing all this stuff because at this point he realizes, I'm stuck here, and without me, all these bad things are going to happen. So it's my responsibility. I have to step in here. I have this power, this ability to make sure this kid doesn't kill himself when he falls out of the tree, even though he's an ungrateful little bastard. I can save Buster from choking on that steak. I can help and we don't know how many things he does in that day. Those are just, some of those for comedic aspect. I can save that young couple from having a bad start to their marriage and then get them WrestleMania tickets. I'd like those tickets.
I don't know if you noticed who that guy was. That was Michael Shannon. He's so young. I didn't recognize him.
Okay, I kept trying to place him. Let me go here.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, when I didn't recognize him to the WrestleMania scene, but I was like, oh my God, he's a baby. He's a baby.
Let me increase the full cast list. He's not listed on the first part here.
He was Fred. Yep. I see it on his IMDb. He was Fred.
Okay, he was. Okay, wow. I kept thinking, I feel like I know this guy.
He's so young. He doesn't look like him, though.
He doesn't have the Michael Shannon features.
Yeah.
They're not pronounced. Wow. Good. Dude, good eye. Good eye. Oh, man.
I love how he hugs Rita or whatever, and then his new wife gets super jealous. Just the look in her eye. It's like I've seen that on the cheek. Yeah. What are you doing? I've seen that look in a woman's eye before. It never ends well.
No. But and I really appreciate. Like I said, I appreciate the development, the arc, completion. There are the proper stages, the proper character development, which we don't get today for the most part. And you appreciate it, and you get a real change of the character. It's not just and then, or no reason. This has happened to Phil for no reason at this point. Oh, suddenly he does this. No, he literally earned his happy ending.
Well, like Lady B always brings up, the difference between and then storytelling and because therefore. This is so much a because therefore driven story. And I love it. Just like you're saying, it's so rare these days. With like The Last of Us being the current example of it. It is literally just, and then they're like gay, and then somebody attacks, but it doesn't mean anything, and then they get married.
Keep your powder dry for tomorrow. I'll let you go off tomorrow.
Oh, I got plenty of powder for that.
Yeah, I'll let you go off on that tomorrow.
Things used to be well written. Like this movie, a lot of people think, oh, it's a really fun movie. It's a dumb fun movie. It's like, no, it's legitimately
serious.
got a
Poignant.
strong script. It's got a very
Poignant.
strong script.
Yeah.
And very poignant, yeah.
Yeah, and the technical aspects, I mean, like Left Eye said, it's shot well. And that's Harold Ramis. That was Harold Ramis. He knew how to do this stuff. He knew how to get the most out of the actors. He knew how to frame the scenes, edit the stuff. He knew how to make it work. And you don't feel jarred. Even like Left Eye said, even when they swap those scenes, even if it's a repeat scene, boom, it just happened. We're doing it again. It's right there. You feel it, and you're not jarred. And again, good direction. It's the same scene, but he gets the perfect reaction from the actors over and over again. And I mean, how tedious must it have been in this movie? Everybody's got single costumes most of the time, or it's these same scenes over and over again. But you get some out of it. I mean, Bill Murray, perfect. Andy McDowell, great work. I back then, very young, I had a small thing for her, especially in Hudson Hawk.
That makes sense though.
Yeah, in Hudson Hawk, but
I
mean,
she's pretty hot in Hudson Hawk.
Yeah. She pulls it off, and she does well as sunny Southern gal in Pennsylvania. It works. She pulls it off, and now, like Jed said, would she be my choice for a lady? Not really. That character, not really my type either. I'm maybe going for physically, I'm going for Nancy. Physically, I'm going for Nancy. But Andy McDowell does a serviceable job, and everybody else is kind of side pieces. Chris Elliott, he's in there for like a minute. Larry's just Chris Elliott. He's basically Chris Elliott character, like you'll find in any Chris Elliott role, basically. And everybody else is they're just in and out of the movie. I mean, I'm not sure if this was one of the times where this is the later. No. Yeah. This movie continued the trend of Bill Murray making sure his brother Brian Doyle was in a movie that he's in. It just continues that trend for years. You can go back through a lot of movies and you'll always find another Murray brother in there somewhere. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right, here's a silly question. If you were stuck in the Groundhog Day, because I think about this every time, as a gamer, as somebody who, as a writer and all this kind of stuff, which requires the next day, to be stuck in a Groundhog Day where you can't move forward on whatever your hobby might be, I'd lose my mind for that in that way. It's like I need to move forward in the game. There's only so many hours, and I don't have enough to do this. No, I can't do it. Or I mean, it's not like like I said, we're reading a book. I can remember what page I was on. It's fine. But it's just, Jed, how do you feel about that? How would you feel as a gamer too?
Drive me insane, especially more from the writer's aspect. Like, writing is very therapeutic for me. I love writing. I need to write, but if I lost all my progress every day, it would be so.
Especially some things like, I can't repeat what I did when whatever writing trance I was in. I can't repeat that. That's there for a reason. I mean, Left Eye, would you lose your mind too?
I'm going GTA on everything, man.
At one point, you're going just full evil. It's like, God damn it!
All side quests.
Maybe this will get me out of it. I don't know.
Something. I gotta do something.
I mean,
I've been trying out all those trick shots that they do in GTA Online, the weird shit that you see people do. It's like, all right, can you jump off a motorcycle in midair and land in a pool and fall into the ocean? It's like this weird shit. It's like, I'm going to be trying all that.
I'll try that,
Yeah, so let's see. Usually at this point now, we covered the major impact of its culture that it's had. As the comedy goes, this movie, as I said before, to me, it's not my eyes are watering, I'm laughing so hard, funny.
Yeah.
But it's spot on dry humor that hits the mark, and it works. The screenplay of Harold Ramis and delivery of Bill Murray is what makes it work. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm a sucker for dry comedy. That's my favorite type of comedy, so this is perfect for me. I kind of find it difficult to classify this as a comedy in and of itself, though, because it's got so much else going on tonally. Like, it's really excelling in a lot of different categories, so I wouldn't want to classify it as primarily even a comedy, so it's difficult. But yeah, the comedy works very, very well for me. I don't get raucous laughter from pretty well any movie, but those regular chuckles are what I look for, and I definitely get that out of this.
Left Eye?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what it was gonna be like until I went back and he was like, "Do you predict a longer short spring?" And he goes, "I predict March 21st." He's like, "But hey, I think that's the day of spring." And he just like,
it's just good. It hits the note.
Highbrow.
I don't think that train's gonna swerve first. That one kills me.
Yeah, it's like it's somewhere between highbrow and peak dad humor.
That
it hits the spot.
Oh, he might have survived that. Boom. No, he didn't.
Yeah, it's like you got to be at least 30 to understand part of the jokes, and then once it goes to another tier, like I can understand. I would have hit needle neck at Ned too. Like I was when he was like, "Phil, is that you?" And I'd be like, "This guy." I was like, when he hit him the second day, I was like, "You know what?
Ned,
I've done that too." I was like, "Oh my god,
that was great."
Yeah, so I mean, it was really great to actually have all those comedic, dramatic. It could have almost dipped into horror a little bit. She's like, "Wait, how do you know me?" He's like, "I know everything about you." You're like, wow, that could have just been a horror moment right there. But it mixed all of that so well with keeping the main thing. It's, he's stuck in a loop, doesn't try to leave. He actually winds up bettering himself. So it's like, it's almost a time capsule movie where I don't want to remake. I don't need you to change anything. It's like, it's buried for posterity. We can dig it up and say, hey, look, this is genuine acting. I know it might seem cheesy at parts, but there are vocal inflections. I can tell when you're scared, anxious, irritated, annoyed, depressed, happy, sincere. Like, that's what it looks like. Like, this is supposed to be the mark for directing, editing, writing, acting. Like, all of it comes together with a movie that I was like, I really didn't think that much of it, but now that I'm watching, it's like, hey, they got so much right that it should be in film school to me. Like, I know there's Dead Poet Society in there, and you got to put in Groundhog Day for there too. So I can see its cultural importance. And someone said that, the effing book said that it's in the Library of Congress, and I'm like, that's for good reason. It was actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point of it all. It is, and we started the stream with that. It has a cultural significance. It means something. It spawned an entire genre of storytelling, the Groundhog Day arc, the Groundhog Day episode, or something related to that, and it is stuck in our pop culture lexicon. It's part of our pop culture lexicon. It made its mark. It's not going anywhere. And like you said, God help anybody who tries to touch and remake this movie, especially in this day and age, where they're creatively bankrupt. And Jed, I know you talk about this all the time. Comedy is dead right now. It's dead, whether it's because comedians are afraid to be funny, modern day comedians, or there's nobody funny enough to write comedy. I know I can't write comedy.
I don't write comedy.
I was talking to like my buddy about this, who's got 2 kids that are around like between 12 and 17. He's like, well, for them, it's like, well, technically, he would consider modern comedy about the time that his daughter was born. She's like 17 now, but he's like, their version of funny is jokes at someone's specific expense. And it's almost like standing in front of someone and then getting heckled for an hour and a half. He said to them, they deem that funny, but it's like, well, hey, I've seen what I would determine real comedy, funny for funny's sake, and it's non-discriminatory at all. And it's just, even if it's Kevin Hart funny, where I just make fun of myself, and you laugh at me because I can make myself the joke and I can take that. He's saying that I think that that's the trend for modern Hollywood, because kids or people in that age demographic, they deem that funny. And so it's like, it's lost humor on the rest of us, is from what he was explaining.
And it takes a talent, dude. Like, you bring up Kevin Hart. I can also say, last decade, when I was laid up in 2017, 2018, and I was just watching a lot of stuff, and I saw when I still had terrestrial television, and Kevin Hart's comedy specials used to be on Comedy Central all the time. that made me cry. I was laughing so hard because
he can do it.
That was funny. But that's the last time that type of big level stand up made me laugh. And because Kevin Hart is a funny dude. But then again, I grew up in the era of Eddie Murphy on the stage, Richard Pryor on the stage, Andrew Dice Clay on the stage, George Carlin on the stage. I mean, I grew up watching the titans of stand up do it.
Oh yeah.
Where it wasn't, we're gonna roast you. It's no, I got actual jokes to tell you. I got actual stories to tell you.
So I just watch old comedy.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of my generation's comedians.
No.
They're pretty bad.
No. So, but I mean, this movie is like Left Eye perfect. It's a time capsule, and it holds up. That's we can put it in, and it holds up. This movie is 30 years old in a week. God damn, I'm old. And it holds up. That you look at you're not even looking at the technology in this movie. That's ancient. It doesn't even cross your mind. Oh, he's on a payphone. No. Gets hit in the head by a shovel. I mean, you're not even thinking about the technology problems. That in this day and age, a cell phone would solve all the problems in terms of getting somebody there, or getting.
He has to ask when the long distance lines will be repaired.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
a phone can't just phone.
Yeah.
What is this?
And watching old school Jeopardy on the TV there, or they're still going to a small movie theater, a local movie theater, because those don't exist anymore. Thanks everybody. Shutting things down.
I miss my local theater.
But I mean, go.
Oh, you mentioned earlier a potential reboot or a sequel with modern day Hollywood. I don't imagine it's going to be long until they try to do that. But I saw this in a meme once. I think this would be the greatest thing for Sony to do with this movie is announce a sequel, put out a trailer, and when people go to watch it in theaters, it's just the first one re-released.
Smart. I would do that.
I think
That's
that would
hilarious.
be cool.
That is hilarious.
Actually, film like a legitimate trailer with modern actors to trick
everybody would appreciate the troll.
Oh, yeah, the greatest troll.
You get to watch Groundhog
Day. They make a shit ton of money.
Real life rickrolled,
and it works. Yeah. And it works narratively. It's just you're repeating Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
Yeah,
it'd be fine.
They'd make a lot of money. I think it would be pretty.
I think that'd be. I mean, I'm not gonna go see it because I freaking own it, but it would be awesome.
Well, no, it would be like this is the continuation. Bill Murray's come back. Groundhog Day 2. You watch it, it's just the same one again. That is a good way to trick your audience. Last of Us, I'm talking to you. Do that, not what you did. This is how you trick your audience in a good way.
Subversion can actually work when you know how to use it.
Yes.
All right. Now, usually we'll bring up soundtracks at this point. Soundtrack is pretty non-existent, except for classic tunes that are brought in for appropriate moments. That's kind of it. It's nothing to shut. It doesn't make the movie. The movie makes itself on other things. Lots of times, Left Eye, we like to say a movie gets elevated around here by its soundtrack. This movie doesn't require that. It does not require that elevation. It's just it's great when they bring in appropriate music for the scenes or using a classic tune for something. Yeah. But other than that,
the one track would be the opening credits was pretty quirky. I like that opening credits track. That's the only one that really stood out to me.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's not required. The soundtrack is not a requirement. Therefore, I'm willing to remove that from my scoring, as part of my scoring requirement, which brings us to the scoring time. We're an hour in. It's about that time. I think we've talked about this organically enough without talking about every single scene because, again, you don't need to talk about every single scene. All right. Since it's my movie, I'm going to go first this week. I give this 8.5 out of 10. 8.10. I'm taking points off for a couple of things. We didn't even talk about this, but Bill Murray doesn't do romance well. So the romance scenes always make me cringe a little bit. So I take it off a little bit for that. And a couple other small things tonally here and there, but nothing major. It's just like little things that I either want more of or would like to see a little bit of extra time in. But it's very little. But it's enough to. And also point that while, again, I love that the humor is dry and hits every point. Mm-hmm. I am missing laugh out loud moments. A little part of me, if I'm watching, I do want that. So that's where my points kind of come off. But and other than that, I mean, I freaking own it. I've spent money on this. It's not on my pirate files. It's here in my hand, physical copy, physical media, because I appreciate it and I like it, and it belongs on my shelf where it could be protected. Because this movie could not be made today.
No,
not with the. Let's be honest. There's this thing is dripping in toxic masculinity. It is. It's dripping with but it's got strong woman. I mean, but either way, you know what I mean, though. It could be so physical media. I own it. 8.5 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
I'll go to our guest. Left Eye, what is your score for the movie tonight?
I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 just because I'm also missing the laugh out moments. And I saw when he did Lost in Translation, and he actually does a better father trying to reconnect with the daughter angle than he does romance. So I know that he can do that better. And it's like, I wouldn't necessarily change anything about the movie, but if it just so happened to be the town where his daughter is, and he's trying to reconnect after being a jerk and absent father for so long, like in Lost in Translation, you get an 8.5 or a 9 because he can do that a lot better than he does romance. But yeah, I'm still missing some of the laugh out loud and some of the it's a comedy of errors in some respects, but it's not necessarily a comedy of epic errors. So yeah, for that, I'll give it 7, which is still, pretty good in my book,
Yeah, it's not like Caddyshack after the Baby Ruth and the pool incident, and he picks it up and he bites into it. And he's like, oh, God, no! It's like, yeah. I mean, we knew it was just a Baby Ruth, but that still makes laugh. Or anything he does in Caddyshack is laugh out loud. So yeah, so you're
sounds like I should watch Caddyshack then.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
It's worth at least a watch once. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but Caddyshack, that's 80s Bill Murray in his prime, because he's not being Bill Murray, he's just a completely different character. I mean, for all as good as this is, Phil is still basically Bill Murray. It's Bill Murray, which is another reason why you take a little bit of points off. He's not while he's got great range in his delivery and his comedy and the seriousness, he's still kind of just being Bill Murray in this movie. He's not another character. Jed, what is your score?
Well, my enjoyment level probably doesn't reach the level that I actually give it, but the writing is just so on point. It feels so strange after watching so much modern day crap to watch a good script. This script is incredibly tight, and so I have to give it a lot of points for that. But my major criticism matches your guys's. The romance, I don't really get a whole lot of chemistry between Rita and Bill Murray. I don't see a whole lot of chemistry, and that's kind of what the whole plot hinges off of.
And Bill Murray were not really. There was no
compatible
spark. Yeah, it was not a spark.
Exactly, and that's the whole point: is him being a good man for her. And so, if I don't believe that relationship, it does harm a lot. So the script is perfect, but there's some acting issues that bring it down to an 8 for me. But.
Okay, yeah, I was hovering at 8.5 all day, and when I fell asleep this afternoon, I thought, yeah, I'm good for an 8.5.
I was gonna.
Moment.
I forgot to ask you when you said it. You said they couldn't remake it today, but I was like, they remake it every year. It's always a Hallmark movie. The hardworking, egotistical woman goes.
You're
to small
right.
Town, falls in love with a guy that happens to be like the town hero, but he's a forgotten hero. Yeah. So I'm like, they do make it every year. It's always a Hallmark movie. My wife makes me watch at least 10 of these every Christmas.
But Hallmark movies are harmless. They're harmless.
I know. I
they're
saw
not
Lindsay
good,
Lohan,
but they're
it was
harmless.
actually
they're harmless.
Good. I know.
When I still had terrestrial television, I would, during Christmas time, I would put them on because it's just, they're nice company when you're doing stuff. Because, isn't this sweet? It's a nice little quirky love story or a family story. No one's
fair.
There's nothing corrupting about this. And I can either fall asleep to this or I can leave it on in the background when I'm doing stuff. Fall asleep happened a lot. That happened a lot. I was like, it's nighttime. I'm turning this on and I'm out. I'm up. They're still showing them. Okay.
Well, I'm really, really glad that Groundhog Day isn't making me want to go watch Hallmark movies. It's wanting me to go watch Edge of Tomorrow and Supernatural. I'm glad that it's inspiring those because they made an interesting twist where it's the death that resets the day, not just the day itself. It's a good twist.
I was going to say, did y'all see they actually combined a Groundhog Day with an actual Hallmark movie? Oh, you all right?
You almost got a boomer moment. I haven't fixed the wheel yet on my chair. He almost got it, but I saved myself. Myself.
Oh my goodness.
Edge of Tomorrow. There we go.
Okay.
Too bad we already covered it on a previous incarnation of this show.
Oh, it wasn't with us. I'll choose it at some point.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I love that movie.
I'm not looking forward to the sequel, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, well, it depends on if they can pull from stuff from the manga properly and maybe go in that direction. It depends.
They named it terribly. It's Live, Die, Repeat, Repeat.
I know. What?
Everyone just calls it Live, Die, Repeat anyway. The first one, but they just added a repeat.
I've always called it Edge of Tomorrow.
Most people call it Live, Die, Repeat. That's how I think of it as, even though I know the right name. But yeah, they just slapped on a repeat to the subtitle or whatever. It's Live, Die, Repeat, Repeat. It's a terrible name.
Yeah. I completely lost our train of thought there. My falling over destroyed whatever we were talking. My near face plant almost. God, that would have been great. That would have been a short. Because I don't do shorts. That would have been a short. Just me face planting, trying to roll my chair back. All right, we scored it. I have no idea what we were talking about anymore. Jed, you've chosen next week's movie.
I have. It was thrown about as a potential during the Christmas season. It was a bit of a stretch to justify as a Christmas movie, so I decided it was about time we revisited it, as it's one of the...
Keep going. I'm going to do it as you go.
You just zoomed into show. I'm like, did he kick me from the studio? No, it is one of the greatest 80s actions movie. It is Mel Gibson at his best. It is Lethal Weapon.
Oh, nice. Yes. In a part of... We're gonna knock it off. Intro movies that need to get watched. Nice. Yes, Lethal Weapon 1 next week. I'm excited. I haven't done a Lethal Weapon marathon yet this year. Actually, it's been a few months since I did a Lethal Weapon marathon. I didn't watch it over Christmas, so I didn't get myself started. Yeah. Ooh, yes, Lethal Weapon.
And homework for the chat: you have to watch the It's Sunny in Philadelphia versions of the movie as well.
Lethal Weapon
it's the
5,
only
hilarious.
Way. Yes, you've got to watch. It's actually the entire Lethal Weapon 5 is available on YouTube, separate from the episode. They edit it together to where it's the actual short film they made. That is the chat's homework for this as well, not just the original Lethal Weapon.
Dude, I don't know if you know this, but like that was when Dee actually went into labor in Philly, or wherever she went in labor. Yeah. He actually showed up in blackface at the hospital, dude.
I love it.
Hilarious. Oh man,
dude, he did a pretty good Murtaugh.
He did. It was actually really good. I was like, you know what?
Dennis was better at both parts, but
getting too old for this shit. Lethal Weapon. Oh, I'm excited now. I'm excited.
There's a real Lethal Weapon 5 coming.
I know,
Gibson has confirmed a real one.
Oh, yeah, and he's directing it. I mean, if you're going to have somebody direct it,
I just fear that they really are too old for this stuff. That is my bigger concern. Like Donald Glover.
Yeah.
He can't do action anymore. It sucks to say it, but
Danny Glover can't do it. He can barely do it at the end of it. But I mean, if you're not going to have... God, who's directed? Was it Ivan Reitman? No. No, Richard Donner. Sorry, Richard Donner. If you can't have Donner do it, at least have a guy. I mean, Mel Gibson is a proven excellent director. He's an excellent director.
Very good.
And
Hacksaw Ridge is amazing.
Who you get somebody who knows the franchise. I don't know, maybe one of the stars who knows the characters inside and out. You can't if it's gonna be somebody, it's gonna. Yeah. No, I'm okay with Mel Gibson. Do I want it to happen? Not really.
Yeah.
I think Lethal Weapon 4 ends it perfectly.
Okay. Yeah.
But we'll get to that. One day we'll get to that because now that we do one, we open the way we do it around our left eye. Once we watch a first movie or something, it opens the door to watching if it's a franchise of sequels.
Hot take here. I think Richard Donner is better and more important than Spielberg.
Sure. I own more Richard Donner movies, and I enjoy more Richard Donner movies than Spielberg.
I mean, you can't go wrong with some Goonies or some Superman.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. You can't do it. So I mean, all right. That being said, I want to thank Left Eye for joining us this evening. Left Eye, why don't you promote your channel before we go on the way out here?
All right, guys, I'm with the Left Eye Ego channel. I'm actually going live with my wife, Shiro, tomorrow. She did a live stream with Mr. Cannoli Sasquatch. They did the female perspective on Mr. Cannoli Sasquatch's channel. But tomorrow we're going to be doing our live of episode 5 of Ordinary Gains. We're going to title it In Sickness and Hearing Health. She was sick the last few weeks, and I have hearing loss, so you'll hear about the comedy of errors that ensued for those 2 weeks. I go live every Saturday with Abomination AJ for our Heroes No Capes episodes. We talk about everything from We talked about AI art, and what else did we talk about? AI art, and we actually wound up having a discussion about Logan, if it was actually a really good movie or not, and James Gunn's news. So talk about everything on those topics. But yeah, definitely check in and subscribe if you haven't to the Left Eye Eagle channel.
Link in the description below. And Jed, as always, I will see you tomorrow on Roundtable, where we are going to talk the DCU reveal.
Like chlamydia, you can never get rid of me.
Oh god, yeah. Well, yeah, I could take penicillin. I'm not. My mom's allergic to penicillin, but I don't think I am. And we're gonna talk Last of Us. I'm gonna let you talk it because I'm not watching. I don't have to because the chat said I didn't have to. So
you lucky bastard.
But it's a real thing. We're gonna talk about. I can actually contribute in sense of this divide that's going on over the show right now. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to look at. I mean, I thought this was going to be the turning week for you last week, but it went the complete opposite direction.
It was just really divisive.
Yeah, I thought people were going to come completely over to your side. Just on an instinct, I thought, okay, this can be the one where they completely break from the game. But no, even some of the
they got tricked by the stereotypes. They think it's good writing when they're stereotypes, but if all you got is stereotypes, it's not good.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk. What else did I put on the checklist? I know I put Disney. Mustang sent me an article today. It looks like I'm right. I might be right about them having to sell Star Wars.
I hope that's true.
Oh, I hope it. Oh, yeah. The cracks are showing. The cracks are showing. And I forget what the other thing was in there. We got something else on there. We'll get to it tomorrow. I'll know what it is when I look at the email. Anyway, thank you both for being here. Next week, Lethal Weapon. We'll be back here 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And who knows who'll show up next week. We'll see what happens. Until then, I want to thank you, the chat, for being here as always. Without you, we are nothing. We're not anywhere. And we hope you guys had a good time. Remember, if you're watching on the replay, hit that like button, leave a comment. And we hope to see you next time. Until then, everybody, have a good rest of your day or evening, wherever you may be. And we will see you later. Take it easy, guys.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your hunt. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry havoc, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Paul also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for why you can, monk boy.
Great Scott. Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.